Hi, welcome to a Vital Energy Friday morning call. I'm Barbara Bertucci and I'm calling from St. Petersburg, Florida. And I'm so excited to have Igor and Carol Gruendl on from Sarasota, Florida. And we've got Charlie and Marcia from upstate New York. And Charlie, you're in Maine? No, sorry, Canada. and and people from all over. So I'm just so excited. I'm going to go ahead and put us on speaker view. There we go. And just what our Vital Balance call started with many years ago with Linda Morris was to support people in their plan and in getting well and healthy and vibrant and dropping those few extra pounds and such, and actually coming up with a good, healthy regime for us. So during all that, we have a wonderful shake. We've got some unbelievable products to share with you, but I want to hear about Igor and Carol's share on their journey with health and wellness and also intermittent fasting. So take it away, guys.
Hi, good morning. Good morning. Gosh, let's see. I think we started, well, I started a year, not even a year ago, April 9th. So that will be my anniversary date of doing intermittent fasting for a solid year. The biggest thing for me when I started was just getting the times down, when my eating window was, when my fasting times were, and just trying to work that out to where it became very easy for me. I was one that could never even fast for a blood test. I'd have to reschedule and reschedule. So it wasn't something that came natural. But when I talked to Linda one time, she talked about it, and I said, what is that? So she kind of explained it to me, and she said, I go 16 to 18 hours, normally about 16 hours. So from whatever time I stop eating at night, I don't eat for 16 hours. So I'll have herbal tea, water, things like that to carry me through, maybe some lemon water with apple cider vinegar that helps to curb the appetite. And I will eat more like maybe 10:30, 11. So it's more like brunch and an early dinner. So I eat 2 meals a day. And once I got the timing of the fasting down and the time of my eating windows down, which actually took a couple weeks before I really truly felt comfortable with those 16 hours of not eating. And then also being around other people or other things, situations that it didn't bother me. It didn't bother me to watch someone else eat or anything like that, because I know I'm going to eat, or I'll plan where I have eaten, and then I'll go out and meet people or something. But then after I started seeing the inches melt away, it wasn't just the weight, it was melting everywhere. And usually when you're on a regular way of trying to lose weight, you kind of lose it in the places you don't need, and then you finally might get to the places you do need. But in this, I melted everywhere quickly. I mean, I could just see my clothing start to get looser and looser and looser. So that was a huge motivator, and lots of water I drank. And you can have your Nikken nutritionals first thing in the morning. So in the first thing in the morning, I would have, I'll have my coffee, but I have like MCT oil in it, and that'll be all, and I'll actually whip it up so it looks like cream. I like cream in my coffee. And maybe a little bit of a stevia or a sweetener. Not much. You don't want anything to break the fast. Anything that has a calorie that can break the fast. So then I would just wait, and then in the morning I would have bacon, I would have eggs, I would have avocado, I would have brie cheese. That might be my breakfast or my brunch. And then I could wait 4 to 5 hours, and I could have an early dinner between maybe 4 or 5 and 6, something like that. But I would choose what I have before I would get to that time, so that you're not eating things that you shouldn't be eating. I started to plan. I had pictures of food, of keto, what I could eat. Like I have there's a great printout, and I should have, well, actually, if anybody wants it, we can get it to Linda, and I'm sure I probably got it from Linda. So there's pictures of meal plans, there's pictures of like snacks that are keto, all these different things. So the more I added the fasting and then only 2 meals a day and then added keto, I went from probably a size 16 and now I'm just below a size 10 going into a 7-8. And that has been in less than a year. So my goal was I'd have different goals. I had a goal like I wanted to see the next like 2 pounds down or next pound down. I wouldn't do like, oh, I want to lose all of this at once. If I was at like, say, let's just say I was at 160, I couldn't wait till I saw 159. I would just get really focused on 159. And then it'd be like, okay, 158. I'm going to do this until I see 158. I'm going to do it till I see 157. And it would almost be a challenge. But in that challenge of seeing that next lower number, I got to know my body so much better of how long, what I ate, and how long it took my body to burn something off. You need to give your body a rest, the internal organs a rest. It was more or less about healing from the inside out and getting rid of the visceral fat that's around the internal organs, and giving your body that time when you do eat a meal to burn it off. And that's what I think I learned the most. And if I went to someone's birthday party and they, wanted me to have like champagne or something like that, I might have it, but I might fast 18 hours or 20 hours the next day, because now I need to burn anything extra that I would not normally have eaten off. Mm-hmm. You can't cheat like that in the beginning. I waited until I got most of my weight off, and then I've learned where I can kind of push the envelope and where I pay for it big time.
That's a good time to interject, because in the beginning you were dropping the weight, but you weren't dropping it as fast. And then I remember you saying, then I decided to do more of the keto and cut out the breads and things like that. So you had started intermittent fasting first, right?
Right. I just was working on getting the timing down, and if I could just do that. And then I thought, oh, I can actually see results. And then I thought, well, how can I tweak this? I mean, because this is pretty cool. They're melting in ways. I mean, my body's just melting everywhere. And so that was what was the motivator. It's like, okay, how can I make this work even faster? So that's when I added eating keto.
Yeah. And just figuring out what you can eat. And there's a lot that you can once you learn it, right?
Yeah, actually there's been some times where it's my eating window and I'll eat, and then I can't eat a whole lot, and literally I'll take a bite or two to stop the fast, and then I oh my gosh, I can't eat, and all of a sudden 15-20 minutes later I'm able to eat, and then I'll eat the whole meal. But there's some days where I'm not hungry. And so I watched a lot of Dr. Berg, B-E-R-G videos on YouTube or Facebook. He makes it very, very simple to explain what's going on with your body, what body type you have, and then just how to get into that rhythm and the health benefits. So I just realized that the days that you're not hungry, don't eat. Maybe push it a little longer. And the days you really are hungry, well, definitely eat. So in the evenings, like say if I was really, really hungry and I didn't have enough fats in my diet, that last meal, I won't be able to go the distance. And so thank God for our protein shake, because that'll help so many times. Like I've been able to have that at times where I couldn't seem to go the distance, but I don't feel like I'm cheating with that, although I do feel like I'm cheating, but it's good protein and it carries me.
Yeah, that's interesting you say that, because I started the intermittent fasting just to kind of give the body a break, because I was doing my little ice creams. I don't know, all of you know I do. And I was doing sometimes 2 shakes a day and sometimes 3, depending on, because I'd have my morning one. And then I might have a chocolate with all kind of stuff in it, greens, kales, like that in the afternoon. And then have one at night. And giving that last shake up was a little hard for me at first, And then I found myself really hungry earlier. So I stopped at about 8. So that means 12 or 12:30 is when I eat. And I get really hungry about quarter to 12 or 12. But if I made it past, then all of a sudden I could last till 1 or whatever. It was really kind of a weird little, like a hunger craving thing. And then it just went away. And it was like, oh, I can take time to, do what I need to do and make the food better and make a better salad.
Well, and then there's times where I'll look at the clock and I go, oh shoot, I have to go 2 more hours. And then I'll go run an errand. I'll take a big glass of water and I'll go run an errand, or I'll plan to do something that'll take up that, the hour. And then it's like, okay, now what can I do? So it's really good to stay busy, but not to be around people or with food. But in the very beginning, when we first both started, we were working on our son's house, getting it ready for for him, and so that actually took up a lot of time where we had to focus on other things. But it's not good just to sit and watch the clock and then you can't wait to eat. So I tried to keep myself busy. I'd make sure I would, go in the garden, walk the dogs, take a bike ride, call a friend. I mean, anything to just make sure I could make those 16 hours.
Now, when I'm going to take you back because, and then when you want to pass it to Igor, we can, whatever. But when you started and we were all doing the KVB, you had trouble with that. And you want to go into any of that? Differences from way before to now, or just to kind of guide people through?
Trouble of losing?
Yeah, in the
I don't think my mindset was correct yet. I don't think I've never been one to have an Igor tests for this one. I've never been one to really have a lot of willpower when it came to food and stuff. I'm very strong in a lot of other areas and issues, and I can really hold my own in certain situations and stuff. But when it came to that, it was like just the stresses or finding myself emotionally eating, and so it was difficult all those other times because I think there were so many other stressors that was hard to set aside, so I think once I noticed that I got the timing down, then I noticed I was losing some inches, and then I was feeling better. My energy started to come back. All the little discomfort things in the body started to just totally go away, which was kind of amazing. Almost like when you're on the magnets, it's like, you notice all these things that you weren't paying attention to before. So it was just difficult, I think, with other stressors. And then I just realized now I can put those stressors aside for a while or shelf them, and I can worry about them later and things. But I just wasn't mentally ready. And then one day when Linda started this intermittent fasting, and I just ran with it. She only did it, I think, for a week or two. And I just kept going. And I think I surprised everybody. I surprised myself. So.
That's great.
I avoided having pictures taken, which is really crazy because before I was modeling. Now I'm back to modeling, but I never wanted to be in any pictures. I didn't really want to be on any call. I didn't want to be in family pictures. I avoided that.
Wow. So, yeah. Well, you look great, and I can tell your energy's better. I mean, you're vibrant, you're alive, and I think people don't realize, they go, Barbara, you are just so disciplined. It's like, I just don't want to hurt. I mean, if I eat poorly over time, that sugar is going to make me hurt. And so if I can avoid it at all costs, and if I'm eating better, then I don't want it because I'm full on the food that is good for me.
Right. If you eat all the things that that's within your eating range or window, or you're adding or willing to try other foods, there's a lot of food. And I don't miss the things I gave up, which is really odd. I thought for sure I would miss all those little things, but I can find all of that and make it in keto. if I want it. It's funny, I don't want a lot of it. Now, I will have to say during this times that we're going through and having my son back home from college, I have to cook for him, which before I wasn't cooking for if he wasn't here. So it's harder when there's more people or holidays, but I don't crave the things I used to crave, and I feel so much better. And if I do have, like, say, one bite or something, boy, I will pay for it for a week. I will feel good. I can't sleep that night. And it's not worth it. And Linda has that one saying that skinny feels, what is it? Skinny feels better than the food tastes. There's a certain way she says that.
I don't know that
Where's
one.
So skinny feels better than that tastes or something. I can't remember. She'll get it. She'll tell us what it is.
Yeah. But I do know that learning the keto way, that when you have and I don't like to use the word cheat day, but if you have a splurge day and you really enjoy your food and you're really good, and you eat, I mean, my splurge might be cheesecake, which is probably the least amount of sugar possible, and it's high.
Yeah, but you can even make that keto.
I know, that's what I was finding. But so that if I'm splurging and I'm really strict the next day, well, what I found is learning the 7-day cycle. If you eat carbs, it's going to be 3 days of no losing weight. You're storing that carb, and your body's now got to burn it off. And it's us that suffer because it stores it in spots that we hurt, I think, or we get backed up, more like it.
Well, a lot of it was clarity for thinking.
Oh yeah.
I just don't feel good. And I remember one time I ate something that had wheat, and I had such a headache and such sinus issue that I was like, oh my God, that's not worth it. So you learn your body so much better. My joints are much better. My mobility is better. My energy is better. And for a while I wasn't, you go from one point where you're not doing it just to lose the weight. It was more or less, well, at my age, I'm early 60s. So it was about healthy. I mean, my kids don't have grandchildren yet. So do I want to be around for when my kids ever have grandchildren? Will I be able to see them? And just feeling better. And it's more or less about healing the internal organs and how long it takes to rejuvenate certain organs. And then the body, it's about heal the body first so the body can function better so it can go the long haul. It wasn't about really just the weight. It's about how can I feel better so I can live longer also.
Yeah. Well, you look great. That's awesome. Igor, you back around? You want to add anything? I know y'all were doing it together.
I'm here. It's interesting when Carol started the whole thing with the intermittent fasting. I just watched her, so I wasn't on immediately. Because usually Carol is like, she does something and she stops it, and we did things like that before, and then I'm like, I continue, and then it kind of feels lopsided. So I think I waited like 14 days. And then I said, oh, look, she's sticking with it. Wow. Okay, good. Now I can jump on. So if we just remind ourselves, anytime we do something brand new, I mean, then we should remember this chart here that is just talks about, things take time. And like Carol mentioned, it took some adjustments, like everything takes adjustments. So we knew that, we had to do some minor adjustments because being in Nikken, I would say we're pretty disciplined, taking our vitamins, taking KVB, taking the things that are necessary, drinking the water, being surrounded in our wellness home with the good things that Nikken has to offer. But we found ourselves, even though we were in in good health, but we did find ourselves in a situation a year ago that we looked like this. I was like 250 pounds and I wasn't feeling good. So that was kind of my motivation. I wanted to lose weight because I had to lose weight because I wasn't feeling good. My joints were aching. I just didn't have any energy. So first I went for, intermittent fasting, I can do this. And Linda shared a little bit about it. Carol was already doing it. And then I started informing myself because I like to inform myself. I like to know what I'm doing. And then what Carol just mentioned was probably the pivotal point. You're not losing weight to get healthy. You're getting healthy to lose weight. So that kind of did a shift, that I'm like, oh, good. And then understanding, well, what's actually happening when you eat? That when you understand that every time you eat, you spike insulin. Every time you spike insulin, there is no fat burning going on. It takes 4 to 5 hours before the body can then switch again. But you eat something, 4 to 5 hours, nothing happens. Everything's on standstill. Then understanding, that why 16 to 18 hours? Well, because you're getting into what is called ketosis, which means that then ketones are produced in the body, which means that supports fat burning. Everything after 16 hours is actually that the body is starting to now burn the fat that it has stored. That's why it takes so long. That's why it is easy to take, a 6 o'clock dinner and then be done by 6:30, and then for 16 to 18 hours, don't eat anything. So it means you're skipping breakfast and you're going to lunch, which we often do anyway. If we don't feel like it, how often have you felt like in the morning, I'm not really hungry, and then all of a sudden it's noon. So, it's not something that we don't know how to do. It's something that we actually do. And then understanding, for example, well, where does this whole 3 times a day meal come from? And that is completely not natural. And so I needed to understand, well, why certain things function, how the body functions, and so forth. Now, of course, the more I knew, which is always dangerous in my hands, Carol knows that, because that's where our meals differ. Because Carol, she moved from the 3 meals to the 2 meals and pretty much stuck with the 2 meals. So she has her window between 16 to 18 hours, and then she eats for between 4 or 5 hours. That's the eating window. It doesn't mean that you graze all through. It means you eat like at one point, and then 5 hours later you eat again. Well, because I was so excited about, ketones happen and everything after 16 hours is like, that's icing on the cake. Yay! So I could do longer. So, and then I personally looked into OMAD, which is 1 meal a day. So I got into this whole 1 meal a day thing, and I fasted up to 20 hours, 21 hours, 23 hours. And then I learned more about, for example, what it means to prolong, and then the benefits. Now, this is not something that just happened like I did it for 14 days and then I jumped in. No, this is gradually kind of like doing the 2 meals a day. And here's a few pointers that are really important. This is not reducing your calories, because oftentimes when people say, you only eat twice a day, you're reducing your calories. No, like Carol eats the total caloric intake that she has to take in 2 meals. I take the total caloric intake I need for 1 day in 1 meal. So I'm eating for like 30, 40, sometimes an hour, because it's a lot of food. One of the main things, and this is like very, very important when you do anything like this, understand what kind of proteins, fats, and what like vegetables you need, because it's really, really important, because what you want to reduce is sugars and carbohydrates as much as possible. So there's some learning, and as Carol mentioned, Dr. Berg is a great online resource, because he does very short videos that explain a lot of different things, and you can get lost in them. but they're very informative. And one of the things that if I give somebody a quick rundown, I said, here's the most important thing. You have to have 7 to 10 cups of vegetables, green, deep green leafy vegetables. You need, more greenzymes than normal, because when you just take 2 heaps a day and mix it in a glass, I said, that's not enough. You have to up the greens. They are so important. Then you have to eat the adequate amount of fats, and that's where we sometimes are afraid. Oh, if I eat butter and whipping cream and fatty cheese like brie and all that, and eggs and bacon, oh, it's like Atkins. It's dangerous. No, it becomes dangerous when that's the only thing you're eating. But if you portion it in relationship to how many greens you're taking. And since I'm not a guy that can eat a whole bunch of green salad, I mean, it's a heap. I have to put it in my blender and drink it. It's so much, but it makes a big difference. And with that, I use, of course, besides using the KVB as a protein source, I also use the greenzymes in probably double to triple the amount than normal. Because it's just what it does to the body is so important.
I've upped my greenzymes as well.
Right.
And I do that because I don't take calcium. I was having issue with a toe, and I was thinking maybe I'm just not able to process calcium as well. But if I just take more greenzymes, it will subside, not get any worse. And that's exactly what happened. So that's awesome.
Yeah. And one more thing. And another thing that's important is, of course, the water. You have to drink the water. It will not work without not drinking water. And then like Carol mentioned, if you want to bridge, you're getting hungry because ghrelin is kicking in. Ghrelin is what actually makes you feel hungry. And to curb that, you use apple cider vinegar, 2 tablespoons, and 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. Organic lemon juice. That's very helpful. Something about ghrelin before I hand it over to you. Ghrelin is it gives you the hunger feeling. When you start to understand that your hunger feeling will only persist for about 20 minutes, after that it will stop. And you know that also. You get hungry. You're so busy you can't eat, and you notice that after a specific time the hunger feeling is gone. Well, the hunger feeling that you get is there because you conditioned yourself. That's why when you get up in the morning and you're up for an hour, usually you get hungry. And then you get hungry around noon again, and then in the evening. You're conditioned, and you can also uncondition that again.
Yeah, I was actually surprised at how well and easy it was to do. And then you feel better, and my sleep was better. So it was really amazing how good I could feel during that. So
and I have one more picture to show, because I mean, I did the before picture, and then of course now we have to do the after picture. And there we are.
Awesome, guys.
And we have lost a combined of weight loss of almost 100 pounds. So, and as you mentioned, the benefits beyond that are you're thinking clearer, you're happier, you can do more things, you can exercise better. I mean, I couldn't believe it when I fast like 16 to 18 hours or longer. The best time to exercise is the end of your fast.
Oh, nice.
And it actually does you much better, your body much better doing it then. Wow. So there's a lot of things, the way we think or believe, it's completely the opposite.
That's so great. Well, thank you so much for being on this early in the morning. And I'm going to get this recording out to everybody. So get with the person that invited you to check out this renewed way of eating and thriving along with Nikken. Thank you so much.